Welcome to a very special edition of Beer Right Back, the Lounge Beer Podcast. Today, we are joined by none other than Nathan Friedman. Nathan, how are you?
I'm good.
Nathan is the owner and brewer.
Owner and head brewer.
Wanderlust Brewing Company here in Flagstaff, Arizona. And Nathan has so kindly invited us to come and have a beer at Wanderlust and pick his brain about all things beer. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited to have beer.
Yeah.
Most importantly.
I mean, really, this is going to go well. There's beers sitting in front of us ready to be drank.
That's why we do the podcast on beer, because it's so easy by comparison. It's always entertaining, at least for us.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I could do an episode on this fine Saturday.
Nathan, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's am I allowed to say Happy Friday? I don't know, like what
You are.
schedule you like.
Yeah, sure.
We're recording on a Friday, and it's a Friday afternoon in the brewery. I'm doing great. We got beer sitting in front of us.
Right on. Well, shall we dig right in?
Yeah.
Get this trainer rolling. Where shall we start? Do we have a...
Let's start with this one here. This is the white. This is the Belgian wit beer. So it's probably the lightest one on the
scale
array today. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Gentlemen,
Cheers.
Cheers. That's exactly... That is the white. That is like what I think of when I think white.
That's what we're going for here. It's like I always say, like, one of my favorite beers that I always get, and we can get it out here now, so it's like not as special as Allagash White. And it's just so like refreshing and crisp and everything. And I won't say we like stole that kind of flavor profile exactly, but that one certainly like has the inspiration for this. It's just like easy drinking, little bit of fruit, but not like overwhelming, really crisp. So
And a really good like wheat, kind of weedy aftertaste on the back of your tongue.
Yep.
Perfect for just getting off of the farm and being sunburnt everywhere. And then, I mean, well, any beer would be pretty good.
Yeah.
But this is a special. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
This is great. How old is this beer?
So it's actually, we've been playing with the recipe probably for like the last 4 to 6 months. But I will actually admit that this one sitting in front of you is like even one final small tweak on the recipe from the last batch.
Okay.
We switched what type of wheat we were using in it because it still wasn't quite giving us that, like, I hate the word weedy because it's such a weird word, but like grainy, I always is kind of what I use for it. It's like got the right amount of like graininess in that aftertaste. So this should be, our goal is to kind of dial everything in before we move into summer, and I think we nailed it. We do have this one out in bottles now too, which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
We started bottling a lot of stuff, and I'm excited about having this one in bottles. So.
Excellent. Yes.
How far do your bottles reach? Are they going down to Phoenix?
They are, yeah. There's not a ton of accounts down in Phoenix. I'd say we probably have like a dozen to 15 total accounts, and I would say of those maybe like half dozen have bottles in them. So it's a little bit kind of hit and miss. We only drive down there about once a month because we self-distribute everything. So we got to, it's a little bit of a haul to like drive 2 hours down, then drive around Phoenix for 2 hours, and then drive 2 hours back up. It makes for a long day.
Yes.
But I think our goal is to try and do that more often. So I'm hoping we'll get up to like twice a month, and maybe even eventually weekly. As we kind of get more demand down there.
Is that good or bad, or have you self-distributing? Is that
Man, it's a double-edged sword, that's for sure. So, I mean, when you go through a distributor, you like get this incredible infrastructure behind you. Where if I'm like, we want our beers in Tucson, they're like, let me make a phone call.
Right.
Like the next day, they're like, beers are in Tucson. It's not that easy, but it's a lot easier than being like, okay, Tucson's 4 hours away to even get there. Like, how do we do that? But they take a margin. And you also will get to this point, I think, with some of the distributors where their reps are doing the selling on your beer. And so you lose a little bit of that connection with kind of the customers. Your salespeople end up being more focused on doing events and doing like new account development and then pitching to like chain stores and stuff. Whereas our salesperson, Trevor, like he sees every account almost every week, if not every other week. So it's cool because especially for in Flagstaff, it gives us a really nice connection direct to the accounts, which is it's fun. So
that's something we talked about a lot in the past episodes. Was kind of like the suits upstairs are telling us to put like deers on our bottle or something instead of mountains.
Oh, the rebranding.
Yeah.
That
Deschutes?
Deschutes rebranding.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's great to have, that sort of control, being a local brewery. And it's awesome that you get to do that still.
It's always been something that I've been pretty passionate about. I mean, I've been in Flagstaff for 15 years now. This is where I moved after college. So I've been here since then. And I love Flagstaff, and like the reason I started a brewery here is because people just kept coming over and drinking beer in my garage, and so I was like, well, I should be able to charge them for. Oh wait, no, that's not what I did. No, but it was. I always say we want to be like the Flagstaff brewery,
Right.
because it's this community that is why we're here, and so we want to support the community too. Right. So I will definitely get to that point where we'll pick up a distributor, and I don't think it'll be a bad thing. Phoenix is a tough one for us to kind of, it's a lot of time and money to spend to go down there for those accounts. But so when we get really saturated into that market, we'll definitely be with a distributor. But I'd love to see how long we could go with keeping Flagstaff self-distributed.
Right. Yeah. Do you see that is it like a very different market in Phoenix? Do you notice any big differences between, besides just scale?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yes, there's differences. There's a lot more breweries down there. There's a lot more options down there. But at the same time, I still feel like a lot of the same things that resonate with people up here in Flagstaff when it comes to beer styles and stuff like that resonate down there. Right. There's definitely, I think what's cool about it is there's so many more accounts down there that are really beer savvy. Not saying that people in Flagstaff aren't, but you don't get those beer bars where they have half their staff is not just beer server but Cicerone certified, and they've got 30 taps on at all times, and any bartender that you walk up to could tell you all the minutia about all those taps, and it's just we have a few of those here in Flagstaff, but in Phoenix it's at a different level, which for us is great because we're not necessarily always just brewing kind of the more mainstream or trendy styles that everybody's heard of. We do some more kind of traditional and somewhat esoteric styles sometimes. So I love going down there and chatting with those types of bars. It's it's a different experience. Right. I love being a customer at those too. Those beer nerd bars.
Right. Speaking of your styles, is there ever a moment where you're like, it would be way easier to just make an IPA. Just hop the shit out of it.
Yes, it was 2 years ago. No, I mean, we had, I don't know, there's a part of me that is the chip on my shoulder, we're not going to do that. Yeah. And then there's the other part of me that's we got to sell beer. So we got to,
Right.
But that being said, I mean, we didn't brew an IPA for the first 4 years we were open.
And
we didn't really
atypical.
need to. Yeah. And finally, we still get, every day you get people walking into the bar, oh, what's your IPA? What's your IPA? And when you don't have one, you can convince them to try something else, and that's great. But at some level, you're like, okay, maybe we're missing out on some of the market. So we don't have a year-round IPA now. We do a rotating series of them, and it's I think we've settled into 3 different ones a year, although we may add a 4th. But the first IPA we ever did was the Westbound Vagabond, which is our double IPA, and I was it was kind of a little bit of an FU, you don't think we can brew an IPA? We're gonna brew the shit out of this, it's gonna be awesome, so we came out with this 10%, super juicy, hopped, New England IPA, and it was kind of before this hazy IPA thing came around, but it was modeled after that flavor profiles of those really juicy, fruity, tropical Northeast IPAs, because I love those kind of beers. So and so now we do them, but we always put our own kind of twist on them. We don't do just a straight IPA. I don't know that we ever have even.
Here's the IPA you've already had a dozen times.
Yeah, and not that that's a bad thing, but it's at some level they're forgettable. You've had, not that there aren't some really great ones out there, but it's okay, name 10 standout unforgettable IPAs.
You're gonna struggle after 5.
You're gonna struggle after 5. Yeah. Of course, you could probably just start naming brewery names and just put IPA after it.
Start making hop puns.
Yeah, you'll be good. And I love IPAs. I mean, don't get me wrong. I drink them all the time, and I have my favorites and my influences, and the ones that I really like. But it's not, just wasn't our shtick,
Right.
So. You got to find a niche with as many breweries as there are out there. That's
Exactly.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and certainly it seems like here it is. Like you guys have found it is these like European farmhouse style beers that it seems like are almost absent outside of Wanderlust. Certainly in Flagstaff.
Yeah, for sure in Flagstaff. I mean, and they're not an easy style to do. I mean, we've spent a lot of years kind of perfecting them. So it's but it's still my go-to. I mean, I had a Memorial Day party on like Sunday, I guess it was. So that we didn't have to be hungover going to work on Tuesday. But
good choice.
Yeah, but it was like I brought a bunch of our beers, and then I like filled my fridge up with stuff that we had tasted at the brewery a couple weeks ago, and it was like, Funkworks Saison and like Hennepin from Omegang and Tank 7 from Boulevard. Like those are like the kind of beers I drink at home too. So and I've got I've got some hoppy ones, some IPAs and stuff like that in the fridge too. But those are my go-tos, so that's kind of what I'm passionate about.
Right. Bring it to the masses.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout it from the rooftops. Well, I kind of chugged through mine, but
there's more here. So let's go. You want to go to 928 or Stout next? What do you guys think? We'll save the hoppier one for last. So
928.
928.
All right, 928 it is. It's these guys.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Has such a good smell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really floral is like always kind of what I describe it as.
And then like a good sharp bitter right up front, and then it kind of just mellows out.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's really consistent across like the 10 different times that I've had this beer. It's always been exactly the same. And I can't say the same for a lot of other beers, especially microbreweries. There's always a tad bit of inconsistency between brews, but this one is always like dead on the money.
I'm flattered that you say that. I drink this beer all the time, and so we are like so in tune to any subtle little. It's like I can like taste the batch of honey that's different in it, which is crazy. But and we were talking earlier, on the tour that we actually switched up the malt in this beer probably 3-4 months ago, and it was a big deal because we wanted to go to a malt supplier that was in Colorado because they're closer and it's more local, and we really like what they're all about. And it took some work to make sure that it stays consistent. So
yeah. You can tell that I probably cannot taste the difference in the honey or the malt difference. So
are these Colorado malts?
Whoa, Sean!
It tastes very Monte Vista.
Yeah. Is this the 97?
Yeah,
exactly.
But I always love seeing this one on a tap board at the restaurants around Flagstaff. It's always like I see like the bright blue logo with the 928 on it, and I'm like, these guys get it. Like, at least they're pulling from local breweries, even in places that I don't really expect, or that they're kind of, I guess, like, they're like usually like the chain franchises. Like, I think,
like Oregano's has 928, and then
what's that?
Olive Garden. Olive Garden doesn't.
No, Oregano's we were on for like a hot minute there, but like Hickory's Barbecue has it. There's a couple like. What are the other chains?
Is Your Pie still?
Your Pie has it for sure. Yep. I don't know. I don't even know all the places that have it. It's like,
it's a good problem.
We've got like
place to
40
be.
something accounts in Flagstaff.
Right.
So I'm always blown away by that, and I love it because it's like we were meeting with some guys from like Collins and the market. Juan Choi, he's awesome. He's a great guy. Like, and he's had our beer in the past, and. We went through this, like, people were like, oh, it's 8%, like, I don't know, it's a little more expensive keg and everything, but you walk into a place like that and they'll have it on because that's what people look for.
Right.
And it could be a tough sell sometimes. And we're like, buy this, like, 8%, like, Belgian-style farmhouse ale with local honey in it. And they're like, the hell are you talking about?
Put it right next to your light keg.
And what's even better is, like, you get, like, a new manager in from out of town or something, and you're going to sell to them, and they're like, what is this? Like, how are we going to sell this? And then, like, 3 other bartenders walk up, and they're like, I drink that every day. Like, that's great. Like, I'll sell the shit out of that. Like, oh, okay.
It definitely is like I know when I'm home from a road trip, when I start seeing 928, I'm like, I'm back. Like it feels, it's like comforting. And to that end, I think you nailed it. I think Flagstaff's brewery is a pretty apt description.
Yeah, especially this beer, that's for sure.
On a somewhat different note, I was wondering what your relationship is like with other breweries in town. Like, how would you describe that relationship? Is it a positive, like, mutual assistance kind of relationship, or is it more cutthroat and competitive?
Yeah, I would say for the most part. I mean, there's always a little competitiveness to it because at some level we're competing for taps.
Sure.
But by and large, it's a really, really close, community here in Flagstaff among the brewers. I mean, it's especially like during our slow season when we're not ordering malt as much and stuff like that. I mean, it's like I feel bad sometimes because it's like almost weekly that I'm like calling up like Gene from Lumberyard or Gary over there or somebody like, hey, can we borrow a bag of malt? And like, I know the answer is always yes, and
that's
there's
great.
no question about it. And like, there's always like email chains or, hey, this issue's coming up. What do you guys think about it? Hey, we're throwing a party. Can we buy some kegs from you? Like, you guys want to do a collaboration? Whatever. Like, it's a really good community for sure. And I think that's probably actually something that's a little different up here in Flagstaff. Is I know
as compared to Phoenix.
Okay. People help people out here and there, but it's not as like
tight knit
for sure. But yeah, we were starting up at about the same time as Mother Road, so we were a little bit later coming in, a little less than a year. Historic was like soon thereafter. Lumberyard was building their facility right before we opened. So we've all kind of gone through it, and Flagstaff's they're a beer-loving community, so it's not really a problem. There's kind of enough to go around. So, but at some level as well. I mean, when you're out in the marketplace, like, yeah, if I can take a Lumberyard or a Mother Road or whatever, a historic tap, like, I'm going to do it. It's business.
Right? Yeah,
but
definitely.
They're going to do the same to me, so I'm not, no hard feelings there. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if I see a Colorado brewery or California brewery on there, and I have a chance to take that, like I'll take that.
Super stoked to take that.
Yeah, totally. Like keep it local.
Get out of my town.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't from around these parts, are you?
I totally forgot. Are we rating?
We can rate.
Should we
what's his rating scale? I heard. I listened to one of your episodes and I was like, "There's a rating scale," but I'm not quite comprehending what it is yet because there's like 4s and 5s and 50s and 60s.
Yeah, we go kind of all over the board. Okay. Especially our first couple episodes.
That was my problem. It was like the third or fourth episode, and I was like, "There's a rating here, but I'm not sure what it is."
Right. So we our rating scale is skewed, I think, lower than most. And I don't want that to shock any listeners or Nathan. I don't want that.
What the hell? I'm going to flip this table over here a second.
The discussion we've had is that most people, it's like if it's a 70, it's a mediocre beer, which gives you 30 points to rate all the great beers you've ever had.
Got it. Which is
70 points to rank all the awful beers you've ever had.
How many beers fall in a 50-0 situation there?
Like when it's 70s mediocre. Yeah.
Are you ever going to go, well, this one got a 45 and this one got a 35, so I'm going to have a 45. You're not going to have a 45, right? Our rating scale is 0 to 100. 40 is the cutoff of are you going to finish the beer? 40 is, I would rather have this beer than not.
Well, it looks like so far we're 2 for 2 above 40 then as I look around the table here, so I'm good. All right.
So 100 is like perfect, unobtainable. Nobody will ever hit 100. 0 is it kills you spontaneously.
Okay.
60 is a good beer, and 80 is a great beer.
Okay.
That being said, white, you guys have...
The white? I got an idea.
I think I have one.
I'm not going to rate my own beers.
That's fine. That's fine.
65.
60.
70.
There we go.
Perfect.
Take it.
Now you're the slow one, Sean. You got
it. Well, I was saving it to rate it.
Right.
That's what he asked because he was like, I'm the only one who's got some of this left now. I get to rate it.
928, I will give also a 65.
I will give 928 a 65.
I was same thing, 65.
Flat 65s. Consistency.
Consensus on that.
That's right.
Like it. Let's go stout. Let's go stout. This is so the last one is a hoppy, dry hop saison. So I always go hoppy last. I don't know. Everybody's got kind of their order they like to taste in. I go least hoppy to most hoppy with the like asterisk around like really intense flavors. So if you got like a bourbon barrel stout that's not like super hoppy, like save that for last. It's like the goal of not blowing out your palate.
That's right.
Yeah,
for sure.
Gentlemen,
cheers.
Pan American stout.
Pan American, yeah. Cheers.
Very smooth.
Wow. Yeah, that one like
velvety.
This is the CO2. We also have it on nitro. You want like creamy. That is like it's a chocolate milkshake. In
nice.
It's so good.
We've debated the difference between the two, and I think Jeremy is all about CO2. There's you're like not about the.
Well, it used to be when I first started drinking. Nitro used to give me a weird feeling, but I think it's because I usually associated that with milk stouts. But I think I've warmed up to both of those factors.
I'm pretty entrenched in the CO2 camp. It's got to be a hell of a nitro beer for me. To be like, I like most nitro beers, but I almost always find myself going like, do you have this on CO2? Is that that's like as good or better, right? But there have been a couple. I've kind of, as you said, I've kind of recently been opening up to nitro and finding more that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And Nick, you're kind of.
I'm firmly equal opportunity employer over there.
Nice. Nitro for me, I love certain beers on nitro. It's heavier though. And so I always say, like, if I'm going to drink a couple of something, like, I'm not going to drink the nitro tab because it's just, it doesn't have that, like, CO2 carbonation bubble that, like, helps clear your palate and lift it off your tongue a little bit. And so it makes the beers heavier for sure. That being said, like, I think some of the most intriguing nitro beers are ones that are lighter, hoppier beers on nitro.
Okay.
Because the other thing it does is it makes them sweeter. And so if you get like a super, super dry or super, super bitter like IPA or a really like crisp pale or something like that on nitro, it's like, it's a totally different world because it takes that bitterness away and it like makes it sweeter again. Like it's hard to drink a couple of them, but like I think the first beer that I had that like gave me that epiphany was the Red Chair from Deschutes.
That's on nitro.
Yeah, they do it on nitro, and it is phenomenal on nitro. It's like a totally different beer.
That's like one of my favorite Deschutes beers. So I gotta like seek it out sometime.
Yeah. We used to do this beer called the Chateau Americana, which we still get a lot of like negativity that we don't do that beer anymore. It was like a Belgian pale. It was a great beer, but it was a really tough one to sell.
Is that like a year ago?
Wholesale. Yeah, probably a year and a half ago is when we discontinued
I like
it.
that.
So yeah, it is. It's a great beer. The problem, so I'll divert a little bit. The problem with that beer is that it was a really hard beer for us to sell at wholesale. It sold great in the tap room, but our system is small enough, we need to turn beers over quick enough that if something isn't selling at wholesale and we can't move a batch of it, it's a really hard one. So it was just a tough one because people didn't know what to make of it. You didn't know how to sell it. So, but we did that one on nitro as well, which was awesome because it was like a filtered Belgian style pale ale, dry hop with Cascade, and it was ridiculous on nitro because it just brought out these fruit flavors that were non-existent on the CO2 version. So yeah,
I think that was kind of our experience with the Bedrock from Modern Times, the Nitro Amber or Nitro Brown or whatever.
Nitro Brown.
That was great, and it really did like CO2. That would have been a very bitter beer, and it would have been kind of every other brown. But with that Nitro, it really did bring something out in it that wasn't typically there, I think.
Yeah. So here, I'll lay a little science on you for you. So CO2, when it's in solution, creates carbonic acid, right? Which is an acid. It makes it more bitter, more acidic. And so when you don't have that CO2 in there, it removes that element of bitterness from it. And so especially like really bitter beers that have a lot of alpha acid in them, which is the or isomerized alpha acid, which is what gives hops their bitterness. You add CO2 on top of that, it can kind of be a multiplicative effect.
Exactly.
But you take that out and replace it with kind of the malty sweetness that you get that the nitro brings out, and that's what totally changes it, because it's like taking a beer that, you know, was whatever 60, 70 IBUs, and you're probably dropping that effectively by 15 or something like that in terms of how you perceive it. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's that carbonic acid that makes all the difference.
You guys have a rating for Pan Am?
I do. That last sip really just got me there.
Yeah.
75.
I guess 77.
75.
Gotta be different, Jeremy.
We're close
Gotta.
I've had some 75s, and this
He's got to boost his average.
This is a little bit better.
This is two better than this.
Yeah.
Two better.
My bell curve is just a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
You know?
Skewed right
Nice.
or skewed left.
Sweet.
Beautiful.
One more.
Last one.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Now this is one I've been here like twice in the last month,
Yeah.
and I've gotten this every time.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
And it's like I'll get this, try one other, and I'm like, no, I gotta have that again.
That's good. That's a good sign. That's
Yeah.
what I like to hear. So,
Gentlemen,
Cheers.
cheers.
kind of almost like a grassy or like back to the florally
Totally.
smell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's dry hopped with with Amarillo and I think a little bit of Mosaic as well in there. So Amarillo's got that like citrusiness to it, but we use a pretty good amount of. I think it's got some Chinook in it, which is a little bit like piney as well.
Yeah.
Give it a little bite. So.
This is the infinitely better version of the one we made. Our
You're telling me that he makes better beer than us? Stop. I don't believe it.
Just that one. Just that one.
Okay,
It was a
okay.
bad day for you
Yeah,
guys. It's
yeah.
cool.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Now
Everybody's
I'm
got them.
the IPA that we ruined.
Oh, yeah.
But
we
it
butchered
came out, the hop was awesome.
Yeah.
Because it was just
we just
dry hopped
the
the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is like
And we dry hopped
hopping
with-
done well.
with Amarillo, too.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like so hoppy, but without the huge bitterness.
Yeah.
From the dry hopping, and I like it. It's
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I guess I don't think we even said. So this beer is called Ponderosa Pasture, and it is a dry hopped saison. And so again, like the farmhouse ales, that's like one of the things we do a lot of. And this is actually the first batch of it. And so it was, a little bit of an experiment because we used a totally new saison yeast that we haven't used yet from a place called Omega Yeast around the Midwest. It dried way, way, way drier than we thought it was going to. Like we do everything in Play-Doh here, so we were expecting it to be in the like 2 to 3 Play-Doh, and it was like 1.2 or something like that. It was like super dry. So yeah, there's like no sugar left. We're like, it'll be like a 5.5% beer, like 6.7% later. So yeah. So it was meant to be. We're gonna put this in bottles soon when we do the second batch of it. We're tweaking it just a little bit for the second batch. I think we're going to bring the bitterness down just a hair to bring out a little more of those hop flavors because it dried out so much. There just wasn't much sweetness to kind of battle those. So to me, it's like an earthy IPA right now instead of a dry hopped saison. It's like, I don't know if that makes sense, but
I got you. Hey.
I definitely, earthy flavors are like one of my best, like one of the things that I prefer the most in beer. So this is doing me pretty well.
Yep.
Never even heard of a dry hop saison. Is that just you woke up in a fever one night like, oh my god, I can't do this? Or
no, not really. I mean, I don't know. It was just one of those. I think actually probably one of the influencers on this beer or this kind of style was the Tank 7.
Okay.
Because Tank 7, I think they even call it this on the bottle. They call it like an American saison. And what's interesting about that is like, for the longest time, like when you put American in front of something, it meant you like added more hops because that's what we do. We're like, oh, hops, we got those.
Yeah.
Let's put more in, like America,
those in
fuck yeah. And so I think that's what they were kind of going after, and I wanted to like take that and like bump it up another level, like make it more like hop forward but not super bitter. Because I think those like fruity, like citrusy hop flavors, they just play really nicely with some of the earthiness and kind of the spice overtones of a saison. So yeah, and everybody's into those like brute IPAs now as well, which are super dry and everything, and it's like they use all these enzymes and blah blah blah, and it's like this one we just used a freaking beast of a yeast that dried the whole thing all the way out, and that does the same thing. So.
I read, while we're on the yeast topic, I saw that you guys have been using your own strain of yeast.
Yeah, so the 928 is a proprietary strain that was like harvested locally.
Yeah.
It's a wild strain.
How is that experience? I have to imagine that's a pain in the ass.
It is. Oh yeah, that beer is like. That's why like it flatters me. Like I said, when you say it's consistent, because that beer is just like it's So because it's a wild yeast, it's. I won't say it's unpredictable anymore because we figured it out, but it took us a long time to like get that consistency with it because it does not ferment in a similar kind of trend as most like brewers yeast. The other thing that's really tough about it is it doesn't stop fermenting. Okay. And so most brewers yeast like will keep fermenting until it hits like a certain type of sugar that it is too long of a chain that won't ferment it, and that's how you get sweetness in beers, is you get these long chain sugars. But man, that yeast is it'll ferment it down to no sugar if you let it. So we have to
hence the like kind of drier styles that are similar.
Yep. And so we have to like cold crash it to take the yeast out of solution, and then we've had to filter batches of it before, at least partially, but we still want to keep it hazy a little bit so that it's kind of true to style. So it's just not an easy yeast to work with. And because we add honey to it as well, that adds like a whole nother level of complexity. So it's not easy to work with. And that's actually, that's like the number one question here is why don't you guys bottle that? And that's the reason, because we really need to like sterile filter that to make sure there is no yeast left in that at all, because if one of those bottles warms up, like it's going to explode. So we've looked into that. We're thinking about how we can go about that, because it'd be great to have 928 bottles, but for now it's like draft only. So
modeling is like relatively new for you guys, isn't it? Within the last couple of years,
we've done like some intermittent batches of like our barrel aged stuff in bottles, but having 12-ounce bottles regularly is probably about a year now is where we're at.
Kind of a April. Legal battle to get that, or is that?
No, it was really a production thing, and we just wanted to make sure that we had enough supply to be able to do that.
That makes sense.
And I think we kind of got to that point in Flagstaff where we're, I won't say we're saturated yet, but finding new draft accounts is getting harder and harder.
Right.
So it kind of opens up another market for us without going outside of Flagstaff, because now we've got all the bottle shops and chain stores and stuff like that we can get bottles into.
Right.
So, yeah.
Very cool. Ponderosa Pasture, I'm giving it a 80.
Wow.
Big.
For me, it was like 75 in that range.
70.
All right.
75 it is.
All right, there you go.
Very cool.
Sweet.
We're going to be right back. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with some mystery beers. And this is a very special mystery beers. None of us know what these beers are. They're totally blind to all of us, since we are kind of without a bartender today. So it's going to be mysteries all around. Stay tuned. This has been Be Right Back.
Yeah, so Wanderlust Brewing, we're located east of downtown, about 1.5 miles on Main Street. There is a Main Street in Flagstaff. It's not downtown, contrary to popular belief. So we're over in Sunnyside, 1519 North Main. We're open Wednesday through Sunday, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we're open from 4 to 9, and Saturday, Sunday we're open from 2 to 8. We usually have food trucks outside and stuff like that. We got big roll-up doors and a patio outside, so stop on by. We've got specials kind of every night for various different things. We've got some like buy one, get one half off to go beers on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thursday we do our human-powered pints, which means if you ride some sort of human-powered device here, we won't discriminate if you want to ride your Elliptigo or something like that, then you get $1 off beers. Teachers get $1 off on Thursdays as well, and then we usually have live music and stuff on Fridays.
Want to see how our ratings stack up? Check us out on Untappd and Beer Advocate. Like listening to us at Beer Right Back? Get our t-shirts and gear at teespring.com/stores/beer-right-back.
And we're back. Welcome back to Beer Right Back, a live beer podcast. We're going to skip right on into some mystery beers. We've got
lightning round.
3. We're going to see if we get through all 3. We might just do the 2, but we're going to start out strong with Well, I guess I don't know if we're starting out strong. Starting off awful.
With beer number 1.
Delicious looking beer.
The white can.
That's the name of the brewery.
Yeah.
I guess.
Somebody's got a beer named White Can out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
I was just going to use one of these taster classes.
You should claim that before
Yeah, white
anyone.
can. Let me call my trademark guy right now. White can. Wanderlust white can. Oh wait, we don't can. There
Gotta
you go.
rinse it out for your palate.
Rinse it out, meaning just drink whatever's left in there.
I've got my prediction already.
Hazy.
Style.
It's orange juice.
A bold choice, I must
It's
say.
a stout. Oh wait, no. For those of you who don't have X-ray vision, it's not a stout. It's golden and very hazy.
Might have shortchanged some of us.
Good.
Oh, it smells great. I can smell it from here. Okay. Gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh! Jesus!
Whoa.
That's like legitimately spicy. Like
Extremely sour. Like right up front, and then...
Yeah, it's got a lot of other spices in it though too.
Yeah.
Like that's like it's like heavy earthy but earthy like we dumped a bunch of coriander or something in it.
yeah.
It's got this weird. Do you guys get like the carbonation is like really fine?
It's super high carbonation is what it
Yeah.
is. But what's weird about it, so sour beers like have a hard time like holding head, and so a lot of times people carbonate them a lot more, and that's what I think happened here. And but it's still, I mean, there's zero head on that whatsoever.
It is like orange to a certain extent.
And then you get this like... I get this dull like bitterness kind of on the back of my tongue after I've swallowed it and kind of like let it fall off
its
my
thing.
tongue. I get
Yeah.
this weird like...
So that flavor, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm so glad
It
we're
is.
having this.
It's called 4-vinyl guaiacol, and it's a flavor that in low levels manifests itself as clove, but in higher levels, which I think we're getting in this beer, can be like a dry, almost like tobacco or smoky kind of flavor. It's really characteristic of some Belgian yeast, but also wild yeast.
Okay.
I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction that this might be like a Brett fermented beer.
Okay.
Because in certain cases those can be like pretty heavy 4VG like flavors.
Yeah.
And that would kind of coincide with some of the sourness we're getting too.
Right. It really is like for me. As soon as this hits my tongue, it's like the sour kicks in, and then I think it's a combination of that and the carbonation is like a wildfire across my tongue. I can just feel this sour like permeate my mouth. I kind of like it, and I kind of don't. I like it like right up front, and then
It intrigues me, but I don't know that I want to drink a whole one.
Right.
Yes. So should we guess ABV first?
So they're all written on the can. So should I write all
Oh, you
our
have
guesses
them?
down? No,
I got it. I got them all written.
in here?
I'll
This?
write them. No,
Oh,
I'll write
you
all
will
those
write
down.
them down.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry about
Genius.
it.
Okay.
Yes.
What are we
One step
doing?
ahead of you, as always, Sean.
Should we go first so we're not just like, well, he knows beer, so I'm just going to do what he said.
Yeah, I think we should go first.
ABV?
ABV. I have a guess.
So do I.
5%.
I was
5%.
4.5.
It's a good middle of the road guess. You guys are looking at me. I'm like, sure, that's great. I'm going to go 5.2. Why not?
I'll go with 6.5.
Okay.
You got them all written down?
Yes.
IBU?
IBU.
Take it away.
Well, I'm writing stuff down. You're getting me at a disadvantage with my pants down, you know? Yeah.
You're not wearing pants? What? This podcasting thing is great. I didn't know I needed pants.
It's a little warm today in Flagstaff.
Did we not put that in the memo? This
No,
is
I
completely
missed that
pantsless.
part.
Maybe like, I don't know, 73?
So, wow. I'm gonna say 15.
Wait, okay. Well, maybe I'm just. Oof. I feel not so great now.
I'll say 30.
I was going to go in the 30s. I think it's catching you off guard because I also think there's a lot of other stuff in here.
Yeah,
There's some
maybe
spices.
that's okay.
Yeah. And that can always throw you for a loop, for sure, with the IBUs.
I can never the flavonoid or whatever it's called. Never narrow it down. I just have. Well, it's pretty bitter, but it's.
Do you have a specific guess other than just
On
in the
what's
30s?
in it? Or 35? Sure.
And a style. Are we doing style or should we just do the two?
We can just do the two.
The reveal.
The reveal.
Hold on. I want to guess at this because I have a guess at what beer. I think it's got hibiscus or something in it.
Interesting.
Is my guess. It's got some sort of botanical in it. I think it's hibiscus or coriander or something like that. And my guess, I'm leaning towards hibiscus. And I'm actually wondering if it's one of the ones from, what is the name of that guy that does a lot of wild beers up in Colorado? I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Yeah. I went to his brewery too. It's not Funkworks. It's he did his PhD in Chad Jacobson is the guy's name. I don't remember. Anyways, give us the beer. He cans his stuff. It's got
ABV is 7.
7.
So Nick gets a point.
Hey.
Wow, for 7.
Crooked Stave. That's my prediction. It's a Crooked Stave beer. It tastes like one of his beers.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way.
IBU. What did you say?
Something dumb.
You said
72.
72. You were 2 points away. It's a 65. I get none of that.
Wow.
I really, to me, this is anyways. 65 IBU and the reveal. What is
I'm going to be
beer?
totally off, but
It is Evil Twin.
oh, Evil Twin.
Coffenade. It is India Pale Ale with lemon and coffee added.
Coffee.
Lemon and coffee.
Coffee.
I don't
Wow.
get that.
I don't get any coffee.
Yeah.
I could see lemon.
Oh, yeah.
I buy the lemon, but I was
Yeah.
thinking it was coming from the hops in there or something. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's that coffee that's giving it a weird flavor.
Yeah.
I still, not my favorite.
And it would almost be better with just lemon because to me it would be kind of a lemonade.
Yeah.
Or what is that liquor? The limoncello. It kind of has that kind of flavor. And then with the coffee, it gives it this other thing that I'm not sure I love.
Yeah, the coffee is. Now that it's said that, I can taste it, but it's not great coffee. It's like a
AM PM coffee.
kind of yeah.
Folgers. We got time for one more?
Yeah.
Should we rate it?
We can rate it. Sure. Will you rate this beer?
Yeah.
I'll rate this one.
Okay.
Wait, give me what's the scale? The 40, 60?
40 is you'd finish it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be above a 40. And then 60 is good, 80 is great, 100 is perfect.
Yeah. All right.
Nick?
55.
50.
Like 60.
Ooh. I was gonna go 35. I don't think I could. With that, I wouldn't finish it at 40. I don't know that I drink a whole can of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could drink one can.
Yeah.
And then I'm done.
In your life.
Yeah, I would feel bad and I would finish the can, but
Okay.
yeah, but I wouldn't
35.
send it back. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what that puts you in the scale.
I don't know. I'm not getting a lot of the negative stuff out of it. I quite enjoyed it.
It's hard because if you have something that you might never have again, you almost want to rate it higher because it's
Unique.
well, yeah, it's unique. It's like the Roger Ebert effect, right?
I'm good with that much. You're fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. Gentlemen?
Cheers.
Cheers. It's sour.
Tastes like a sour up front.
Yeah, it's like a subtle sourness, but it's got bread in it for sure.
Right.
I was kind of getting a pancake feel almost out of that, but without the syrup and the other stuff. Just
I can see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
The grain flavor.
Yeah, this one tastes to me like it's a wild fermented something with bread or something like that in it. Maybe even barrel aged. like a wine barrel or something. It's not like a whiskey barrel, but
that sourness to me is kind of a wine.
Yep.
It's like tart without being super sour.
Okay.
It's like intricate.
intricate.
There's a lot going on. And there is, similar to the last one, there's like a bitterness that comes at the very end. And almost once you swallow, there's kind of a residual bitter flavor.
Yeah, I think it's got some sort of barrel to it. It's got some wood. It's got a little bit of that like tannic like flavor to it. It's got some earthiness to it. A little bit of like kind of cherry notes. Not much bitterness though, for sure. So it could be aged.
Shall we guess?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Jeremy?
ABV, I'm going to guess 6%. Yeah, 6%.
I think that's a good guess. So good, I'm not sure what to guess. 5.5.
I'll go 7.5 on this one.
Wow.
I was gonna go 6.5. I think you're in the ballpark there.
Okay.
And
IBU?
Maybe kind of the 35?
20?
I'll split the difference and go 25.
Took
Always
my
the
answer.
safe choice. Safe choice.
I'm going to say
Always
25 with the asterisk that it's been aged a little bit. So I think it's lower than that because IBUs degrade with age.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, beers get less bitter as you age them.
And any guesses on style or the...
No clue.
It's going to be like one of my beers or something, and I'm going to feel horrible. Like, I can't believe I didn't know that.
This is...
It is. Yep. I was like, this tastes really familiar, but I'm not going to like say this is my beer and then not be right. Yep.
Good job, Crystal. And,
That's awesome.
And good job, Nathan.
Well, it is Brett fermented, and it's barrel aged in wine barrels.
There you go. You got it.
No, it was crossing my mind. I was like, I'm not going to say that and sound like an asshole, though, that it's like not my beer. Like, yeah, this is my beer. It's delicious.
The wine comes through. I think that's a really good wine barrel flavor.
Yep.
Where it doesn't taste like I'm drinking a carbonated wine. But
There's that.
I totally tasted it and I was like, this tastes really familiar, but like they wouldn't have brought one of my beers. Oh wait.
with them being totally blind, we have no idea.
Ballast Point does that. The
wench, sour wench.
That's aged in Chardonnay.
Yeah.
That's a little too extreme.
It's
this
very
is
wine.
this is enough beer that it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So these are like, I think, second or third use wine barrels. So there's a little bit of wine flavor left, like second or third beer through them.
Right.
So there's a little bit of wine flavor left, but it's more just like the barrel.
Is there a trade? I've always been curious how you get that, or have you guys used it 3 times for other beers?
Yeah, so we've used it 3 times for other beers. So we typically, when we buy barrels, we will buy what the whatever the previous owner put in it. So we'll buy wine barrels, or we'll buy whiskey barrels, or gin barrels, or whatever, and then we'll use them. And the first use, actually, our typical kind of approach has been we have to cut it because it's so powerful.
Right.
So we cut it with some unaged beer or some beer that's aged in just like a neutral barrel that didn't pick up much flavor because it's like the 4th use through it or something.
Right.
Because that first use out of like a whiskey barrel is like, it's
Whiskey.
like boozy, really boozy. So,
Yeah.
Is that you mentioned gin barrels?
Yeah.
Did I miss that, or is that upcoming?
No, we haven't actually done gin
Okay.
barrels. We've done tequila barrels for
Right.
sure. I'm not a huge gin drinker, so
Okay.
they're tough for me.
Yeah.
There's some good beers that come out of them for sure.
Right.
I'm not a big tequila drinker either, but I had a couple tequila barrel aged beers that like intrigued me enough that I was like, okay, let's give that a go.
Right.
So.
Nice.
I can't stand tequila. We had one on the podcast. Oh, it was the Ocho Vase that was aged in tequila barrels.
It was Trip in the Woods. It was like their barrels.
Yeah. And that was like the perfect
that's cool.
amount
That
of
was-
tequila flavor without the boozy, without the hangover.
I think that's the key is like these barrels, like you got to get the flavors but not the booziness out of them, which is, tough sometimes. But
So wait, who won?
I mean, I think he nailed it on the head with this one.
This actually might be our first guest win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
good job, Nathan.
Thanks. The deck was stacked on that.
Oh, are we?
I got a few minutes if you guys want to do the last one real quick, or if you want to just close out. If you got some
we got the one more
comments. So yeah, it was all coming together, and I was like, that looks like one of our bottles. This kind of tastes like one of our beers.
Out of all the beers they can pick, there's no way.
Well, this one's interesting too. While he's opening that one, I'll tell you, this one still has like active live Brettanomyces in the bottle.
Really?
Oh. And so you taste this beer like when it was fresh. And it hardly had any Brett flavor to it at all. It was like an English old ale, and it had a lot more caramel sweetness and all those kinds of things. Yeah. And then, like, we're 6 months, almost 8 months out now from when this went into bottles, and it's starting to get more earthy. And like a year from now, it's going to get like real earthy, and like that Brett is going to really take over. Which is, I think it's cool. It'll be fun. But
one to tuck away for a while. You think?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Like that tombstone that you have.
Yeah,
their Brett.
Yeah, I've been holding on to that
for a year.
I can't wait. Yeah, that's gonna be. I'm gonna have that on my birthday, and I can't wait for that. I think that's gonna be phenomenal. Tombstone rarely does wrong.
Rarely, yes.
Not never.
Not never.
But rarely.
They are human, of course.
That's right, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh.
Man, that's like a motor oil kind of.
Ooh.
I'm glad we finished with this one.
Yeah, sweet and like a nuttiness or something. There's like a weird.
Yeah,
it could be coffee in this one too.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of coffee, but not any chocolate really. At least 5 seconds later, I might think I'm chocolate, but
yeah, I could see maybe a dark chocolate. Certainly not a milk chocolate though. It's like got some of that bitterness.
Yeah.
I almost want to say I get a chili pepper.
There's a little bit of heat. I can't tell if it's the alcohol or not.
Yeah,
It's
it's so vague that if they meant for that, then
I think it's more boozy than. But I get what you're saying for sure. It's got that like
close.
bite on the edge.
Yeah.
I will not be guessing brewery because
the
cap was not covered as well as I had hoped.
Yeah, so dark, boozy, not a whole lot of head. I'm getting coffee for sure out of it. Super opaque. Yeah.
While the head existed for like 10 seconds, it was like a very like yellowish brown. It was like a really interesting color.
Man, that hits.
Yeah.
I am getting like that like coffee dark chocolate note really hard. And then there is like a weird nuttiness, but then I'm not getting a lot else out of this.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a lot of roasted flavor either. It's like real heavy caramel and kind of that chocolatey-ness to it. So I'm thinking more like Baltic Porter or something like that, or like an Imperial Porter than like an Imperial Stout. Although it could be aged as well, and that bitterness that you get from the Stout and the roastiness may fade a little bit, because that happens with age too.
Shall we?
ABV? I can go first.
I was going to take first.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say 12.
12.5.
Big.
I guess 11.5.
I was going to go closer to like 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's low double digits.
IBU?
Like, I don't know, 15.
30.
I'll go 40.
I was going to say, I'd go higher, because you got to have that bitterness to balance the, like, sweetness, because it's got so much sweetness in it. Like, when we do Imperial Stouts and stuff like that, it's got to have, like, at least, like, 45, 50, or it's just a hot mess of sweetness. So I'm thinking 50.
Okay.
I'm going higher on this one.
Are we guessing?
Reveal.
Are we guessing?
Style or brewer?
Let's do brewer as one final.
Brewer.
Oh, man.
I'm out of the running.
It's a short bottle. Who's that going to be?
You get it.
Yeah.
Every episode we're like, it's a can, but we have enough beer. That's probably a 16-ounce can. So who makes 16 ounce can?
I feel like I've had this beer before.
It tastes similar. I thought the same thing too, but I always default like, oh, well, if it's a very dark beer, it must be Evil Twin, then I'm always wrong. And then...
This tastes like 18%. That's fine.
I'm gonna go for something big, more mainstream, like a Sierra Nevada, like what is it, Bigfoot or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Bigfoot's tough because Bigfoot's a barley wine, and I think this is darker than a barley wine. I think this is a porter, but I don't know what their porter would be.
I'm going to go with Prairie.
Interesting. So,
bold move.
ABV, 13.
13.
You haven't guessed.
Oh, brewer. I guess Evil Twin doesn't do bottles. I have no idea. You could just skip me if you want.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Yeah. Jeremy's
I gave you the chance.
Is New Belgium.
Yeah.
All right.
So 13%. So Nick takes the point.
Yeah.
IBU 65.
Oh, I got the point
So
on that one.
very close.
Yeah.
And the brewer is Prairie.
Oh, it is Prairie.
Prairie Artisan Ales.
Yeah.
That is the
Bible
one.
Club. This is the one we had like.
Oh, Bible.
Oh, this was in cigar beers.
Yeah.
This was like months ago.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I was like,
So what style is Bible Bell? Isn't it?
this is Imperial Stout aged on coffee, vanilla, chilies, and cocoa nibs.
There is chilies.
So,
There you go. Yeah.
And coffee and the dark chocolate coming from the
The cocoa
cacao
nibs for sure.
So
There's so little chili in that, though.
and,
yeah. Everything else drowns
and
that out.
especially,
Yeah.
especially with the booziness, it just kind of blends in. But a good beer. Good job, Prairie.
Yep.
That about
wraps it up, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you very much, Nathan. for having us here.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Absolutely
Fantastic.
fantastic.
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm happy to do it again anytime. I love sitting around drinking beers.
Yeah,
This
right
is fun.
You do?
No. This was my first beer. I'm really impressed with that Wanderlust 6th anniversary. Where do you get that here, Ted?
Well, if you go on over to Main Street,
Oh, yeah, Main Street, Flagstaff.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I started a brewery to make money.
Yeah.
You just sold out immediately.
Yeah,
AB InBev, call me.
yeah. Taking offers.
Yeah.
Must include Aspen Condo in the offer. Cool. Yeah. Not holding my breath on that one.
One day.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you don't take it, the offer is nice. You just,
exactly.
You know,
It's a validation.
Really? Me? If you're in Flagstaff or if you're in Arizona, please come up to Flagstaff. Please come check out Wanderlust Brewing Company on Main Street in Flagstaff, a little bit east of downtown. They make exceptional beers. And their owner, Nathan, has been absolutely a joy to have on the podcast. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
This has been Be Right Back, the Lounge Beer Podcast.